I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. That was weird.
What is that from?
Oh, that was even weirder. I know what it's from, but I was
I don't-
challenging you.
I don't know. No, I don't think I've seen what it is. I just
Yes,
heard
you
people
have.
do it, so I do it.
No, you've seen it because me and Warren probably made you watch it.
Well, I didn't.
It's from SpongeBob.
Okay, yeah, I
SpongeBob
don't watch a whole
sings,
lot of SpongeBob.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, we were. Yeah, AJR did do a song with it.
I don't know.
You watched a lot of SpongeBob.
Negative Ghost
Not
Rider.
voluntarily, but you watched it. It was on. I watched SpongeBob so much it wasn't even funny.
I don't think so. I did see that. They throw adult stuff in a lot of that stuff.
Oh, SpongeBob is very perverted if you watch it.
The other
as an
day I
adult.
watched SpongeBob Brick.
On a commercial,
Yeah.
I saw that one. I said that Hannah was sitting there. I said, "Holy crap! I just watched SpongeBob a brick."
Yeah. So, are we ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. If you had tuned in a few seconds ago, you kind of got a little bit of where we might be coming from, but who knows? You never know.
We never know where Nick's gonna cut it.
Yeah, I don't ever know where Nick's going to actually start. There are times when we have an entire podcast before we ever turn on the podcast, and sometimes Nick records it, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes you guys are really bad, and then we cannot air what was said.
Rarely.
No, that happens a lot. So as per usual, I will do as I normally do, and I will apologize. However, I'm only going to apologize about half as much as I normally do because we're missing Warren today. We are visited here with Easton and myself. And for those of you that can see the podcast, totally different setting. We are under construction, which is a good thing.
It hurt my heart.
To what? Tear up your podcast booth?
It did when we were when we've been to talking about doing it, and then you told Caden just send it. I walk out there. I wasn't prepared. I was not
All the
mentally.
walls
I was
were
not
missing.
mentally prepared for the fact of when I walk out there the next time. We already filmed our last podcast in that booth, in that studio or whatever. It's when I walked out there. He had it like pretty much all tore apart, and I was like, "Oh man."
Didn't even get to say goodbye.
Well,
Well, the good thing
I didn't
is
even get to sit in it
a lot
one
of
more
the
time.
pieces of wood are moving to the new one, so
It ain't gonna feel the same.
no, I won't.
Yeah,
So
we're
for
upgrading.
for you guys that are helping with the podcast and loyal listeners, we're about to make the viewer a little more viewing pleasurable. I think that this podcast is going to be pretty badass when we're all done. This podcast setting, let's just say that. For those of you that do view in on YouTube or if you see some of the clips on social media. So,
I think tune in on YouTube, not view in on YouTube.
okay, whatever. Here we go. I can tell you right now, he's just got this attitude, and if I get tired of it, I'll smack his ass. So that's how it's going to go today.
Yeah, that's kind of my point when he's saying crap like we're the bad ones. Just
Ass
take
is
note.
not a
I'm gonna
bad word.
Yes, it is.
No, there's
technically.
even ass in Christmas. The ass is standing right there. And I ain't talking about the little drummer boy from behind. I'm talking about the standing.
Dude, that's oh my gosh, that's not even PG. Holy crap!
What are you doing?
There's a hair under this, and it's really pissing me off. I can't get it.
Okay, let's focus here. All right, guys. So welcome to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I'm your host, David Holder. I'm joined today by Easton, and we're missing Warren, and we're missing our podcast. So there you go. You got all of it in your.
We're in shambles.
We are kind of discombobulated would be an understatement. However, a couple things. One is we're pretty excited. We got some guests coming in this week. Should have fun time going hunting with those guys. We got Marty Garrison, a buddy of ours coming from Texas. Tried to kill a buck, and the old Bushmaster is coming back. And thank God he's bringing Chris, someone to keep him in.
Somebody's saying
keep
that
him
comes with
straight and get him into the right place where he's supposed to be at the right time and stuff like. Points out the deer. Hey Jackie, there's one.
Yeah.
So, but so those guys are going to be rolling in here at the end of the week. So maybe we'll do a podcast with them next week. But other than that, I don't know if you got stuff you want to do first, but I definitely want to bring up before we get started on today's podcast. And today's podcast is a good one. I think it's going to be extremely informational. So if you're someone out there and you're thinking about going on a hunt, other than where you live, you're going to want to tune into this podcast because Easton and I are getting ready to cover some really good information, and we're doing it in a timely manner for the first time. A lot of the
still going to be some time pressing if you want to go elsewhere.
But you have time. Yeah. But where sometimes we are, that happened a month ago.
Yeah.
Because the earliest that I know of, and I'm not saying I got them all right, but the earliest one that I know of is typically Wyoming, and that's a January 2nd to February 2nd that you want to put in for tags.
It's not even open yet.
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was open and closed.
I did. I thought it closed January 2nd, but I remember that it's weird. I mean, it's a short window.
Okay.
And so anyhow, that one's still open. But we're also going to talk about maybe some places to go on a whitetail hunt, because we've gotten a lot of guys that have been reaching out to me asking, say, hey, I'm looking to go on a whitetail hunt. I live in I live in the East, and I want to go somewhere. I want to know what's it going to cost me? What is it worth what I want to do, and that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to answer all that. However, before we do that, though, I want to make an offer to our podcast listeners. But I need to know if you're ready, because if you got stuff you want to do, you can do that, and then I will go. You're good?
You might as well get through your soapbox here, and then
it's not a soapbox. It's just simply, it is what it is.
Just jump on, man.
All right. So here we go. So we know that in podcast land, we have a lot of loyal listeners, and some of them have even taken it upon themselves to, I don't know what's the word, defend?
Well, you have to shout out old Jake DeLee.
Jake DeLee.
Totally roasted. Can't even get through a podcast.
Sorry.
That's the Raised Hunting story. I should probably answer that.
No, or not now.
I'm not. We're busy.
So Jake DeLee had someone. So let me back up. First of all, we posted a deer that Warren shot here about 2-3 weeks ago, I guess now, maybe 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago or so, and he did not make a great shot. No, we didn't argue. I mean, we didn't try to hide that or anything like that. Warren actually was pretty sure he didn't kill the deer when he shot. I looked at the video. Easton was filming the hunt. I felt like, we got a good chance of finding this deer. However, I couldn't quite understand the angle of where Warren was and things like that. Long story short, we had snow on the ground, and 5 of us came back the next day, tracked that deer, and we actually 100% guaranteed followed that deer until it ran out of blood.
We followed that deer until he went back to eat more beans.
Yeah, he made a big loop, and you could tell. But I mean, literally, when I say we followed him till he was not bleeding anymore, I'm talking about not even the size of the head of a pin were the last blood drops we were following. But you could see it because it was perfectly white, nothing disturbed it, and then we could see his tracks, and there was no more blood. So we thought, okay, this deer is definitely just gone back to living. So we backed out, said we're going to wait and see. It was only a week or 10 days or something like that. Lo and behold, I got video, and I got another one of him the other day. So he's walking around, and he's fine. Warren posted that, or we posted that, and said, what do you guys think? Kind of just giving people, because it was the same thing. You're never positive on any shot until you either recover or don't recover the deer. And then if you don't recover them, you're definitely more like, what happened? So in this particular instance, we had proof that the deer had been shot, proof that the deer had lived, proof that the deer seems to be doing fine. He's still packing his antlers around and walking around. But when Warren put that out there,
he's not even limping.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he acts like it's normal. No big deal. But long story short is there were some people that decided to take it upon themselves to say it was too dark. It was angled wrong. You should have never taken that shot. This was a bad shot. Maybe you should practice more. There was all kinds of things. And Jake DeLee obviously listens to the podcast and knows the shot that Warren is. And I'm not talking about because he's my kid. There's a lot of things I would tell you that Warren's not great at. But the one thing that I would tell you that when it comes to shooting his bow, and typically shooting his bow at animals, considering this is the first time he's turned 30 now, and this is the first time he's ever lost a whitetail buck.
Yeah, I didn't know that until he didn't even say that until after we were like, okay, this ain't happening.
Yeah, that's the first one, and it ain't like he's only had 4 shots. I mean, he's killed one dang near every year since he was 11 or 12.
Well, he's shot over. He's over 35 or 40 just deer with his bow.
With his bow.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I think that he took a good shot. It was plenty of light. I don't know whether the camera made it look like it was darker or whatever. Because I remember when you guys texted us and told Nick and I were in a tree at the same farm, there was still like 15 or 20 minutes of shooting light left.
Oh, there's plenty of time. I don't even know if I'd have to look at the timestamp on it. I'm pretty sure if it was even after sunset, it was only a few minutes. Like after sunset,
I don't know.
You got the 30 minutes,
But anyhow, what happens here, and this is not just in our case, I've seen it happen on multiple situations where these keyboard warriors that think they're badasses and that they want to claim how great they are, start coming out and start, I'm going to tell this person that they suck or that they didn't do this right or they didn't do that right and they should have changed this or changed that. Well, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of anyone who does that, period. Number one, I'm not talking about the person who simply disagrees with me. I'm okay with that. But it's the one that goes on to be able to try to say that you're an idiot or that you shot the wrong deer or you did this or you did that wrong, like they know so much. I'm ready to talk to you. And I'm going to give you a chance to not just be the dude that commented on social media. I'm going to give you a chance to come on the Raised Hunting Podcast. So here's what I'm going to offer. If you are one of those people and you make those comments on one of our social media posts or within the Raised Hunting Podcast itself, I'm going to ask all of our other podcast listeners to look for us because I can't watch there's too many of them. If you guys see one like Jake DeLee did and you comment, shoot us a message, an email message, or get a hold of us one way and say, hey, here is so-and-so that made this comment. You can make the offer to them because this offer stands. If they're willing to come on the podcast and debate the situation with me, I'll pay for them to come. I'll also give them a Raised Hunting sweatshirt, and the person who finds this person, I'll give you a Raised Hunting sweatshirt. Again,
I don't know if we want to give the person we're debating a Raised Hunting sweatshirt because then we're just wasting
well,
it.
they may throw it away by the time we're done because I'm going to eat your lunch. That's all there is to it. I'm just telling you right now, I'm willing to take it on. And if you think that you got us, you think, hey, you guys are idiots and you don't know what you're talking about, then come on. Because all I'm going to tell you is I'm going to bring my experience and my opinion. You bring your experience and your opinion, and let's see what everyone thinks and see where we end up. So if you've got all these like big balls, when you're behind your keyboard, let's see if you can put them out there for everyone to see. Fair enough.
Hopefully
Not
you don't
literally.
put them out there, but basically put your money where your mouth is. I like it.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. If you want a sweatshirt, start looking for us. And we're going to post some other stuff, whether it's our own shots, friends of our shots. I'm going to make sure I don't want to say I'm baiting them, but I know that we'll get some controversy off of, because you can post the absolute most perfect shot and someone will.
Oh, yeah. Well, evidently not. You can go post a headshot on any animal, and just about everybody's going to tell you how great of a shot it is.
That's wrong. Period.
Yeah,
I'll debate that one too. So
that one is I don't understand, especially Warren.
A headshot with a bow,
such a normal shot and everything that, like, I always expect negativity. I wasn't expecting that much, especially when I've seen the amount of headshots and crap like that I've seen that makes me cringe just watching it. And there's hardly anything on those of being an idiot or terrible shot.
Well, we've made some bad shots and killed an animal. We'll tell you, we just got lucky, because that's what ends up happening. That has happened. But at the same time, we've made some good shots and not recovered an animal. And it's like, what went wrong here? What happened? And sometimes later on, we've recovered an animal where we could see what was going on. I have a friend of mine that shot a doe, turned around, shot the same doe the next year. He hit that deer perfect, in my opinion, and ended up finding the arrow within the doe the next year.
Yeah, with a collapsed lung.
And the arrow, with his broadhead, his arrow still in her. And she was living. So things do happen. Well, with that being said, are we ready?
Yeah. You want me to do a story quick? Because we don't
Sure.
have, and I probably should start pulling them up on my phone because we've been having some without Warren. But Warren will get the shout outs on next week's. I have faith. But today we're going to do a story. Today's is from, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Tyler Sawzalaw. Sawzalaw.
Where is it?
Sasala.
SAS?
ALA.
Sasala.
That actually sounds a lot more. That would have made more sense. Shut up, Nick. It looks confusing.
He was at Cheesecake Factory, right next to Marsala.
Okay. Goodness. Anyways, hey guys, just wanted to share that I tagged my biggest buck to date on 11/11 in blank, Illinois. I am not going to give out your county, my friend. I think that will give up too much information. But anyways, I hung a set in the same tree I killed out of last year. It is a bottom draw between cut corn and CRP that has many creek beds leading into it. It is an area. Oh, I lost my spot. It is an area that is feast or famine, but historically, if you put your time in, all day sits consecutively, the chances of at least having an encounter with a shooter are very high. I was on day 3 of my plan to wait the spot out. And around 4 p.m., I caught a glimpse of what I considered a shooter buck skirting the CRP. I grunted the buck. He didn't stop. I gave him a snort wheeze, and he picked up his pace and disappeared into the timber below me. A little disappointed, I shot my dad a text, who was on the other side of the property, that a big buck could be headed his way. He simply replied, "Be patient and good luck." 5 minutes later, in the same area, I watched the first buck go by. I caught movement, and it was another buck. Not sure if it was the same buck. I gave him one big deep grunt, with the tube pointed away and behind my tree. His head snapped, and I saw his tines and a kicker off of his G2. I instantly turned my Tacticam on and started ranging a couple spots he could pass through as he was coming in on a string to my stand. I sent my arrow through him at 14 yards and watched blood pour out as he ran off. Long story short, after reviewing the footage, I hit further back, so we waited over 4 hours to track. We found him dead less than 80 yards from where I'd shot him. 14 scoreable points and confirmation to my theory that Midwest rut hunting, you need confidence and commitment to a spot. It was the night of the Northern Lights, so I got a once-in-a-lifetime photo, which I have included. Thanks for all the tips and information over the years. Good luck to you all and the listeners and the rest of the listeners for the rest of the year. Shoot straight and stay safe. Nice.
Hell yeah.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah, that's like the kind of story you want to hear. 14 yards and goes 80.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And aired on the side of caution.
Hours. Yeah. But at least you went right up to him, so that's freaking cool. Congratulations, Tyler, and sorry if I butchered your last name.
Nice work, Tyler. Congrats, man.
All right.
All right.
I'm ready. I'm keeping this up for research purposes because I'm sure we're going to have a couple.
Yeah, that's why we both have our computers up here. So I think what the first part that we want to talk about is a lot of people, wherever you live, what ends up happening at some point, whether it's early in your archery career or later in your archery career, you end up wanting to go somewhere else to hunt. And it seems like more and more of that comes from the eastern guys and southern guys. And I think that's because there's not as many species to hunt back there. And typically, and I'm not speaking that there isn't a big deer around there, but compared to an Iowa or a Midwest state, they don't have as many.
Yep.
You know, so guys want to seek out a better place to go hunting or someplace they can go kill a better buck, that kind of thing. And so hopefully we can give you guys some tips on, because one of the things though that a lot of guys are looking for is they want to go do it, but they ain't got the money to go do it.
Yeah.
You know, or the money to go do it. They don't just have an unlimited resource to go do it. And so with that being said, what do you do? Where do you go? Where do you look? And things have changed so much for me. So I'm going to ask Easton a few questions, and I think he's got some stuff to talk about as well. But when I was growing up, and I grew up back in the East, I grew up in Virginia, where we went for stuff like that was Harrisburg. We went to that Great Northern, at the time, or Great American Outdoor Sports Show. I think it was still the same name, but all the outfitters were there. And what I did was I looked at, the first time that I ever went, Mom and I went on a guided hunt, was to Alabama. And we picked Alabama because, one, there was better deer there, or they were killing some better deer. Maybe not, they probably didn't have much of a better quality than what Virginia had at the time. But because it was guided and they were controlling the property, they had the opportunity at more of them. And then there was just a sheer number of deer. They had more deer at that time. And so that's why we picked there. And 100% sure, for sure the price was right.
Only $500
No, I think it was like 11 or 1200
for both of you.
I don't remember now, but it wasn't like, and I want to say we were like 20, I was probably 23, mom was 21, something like that, or 24 and 22, something of that nature.
So a hot minute ago.
Oh yeah, it was a few years ago.
Okay.
So, but same thing. So I get it, man. I know where you guys are coming from. That hasn't changed for people, that you still want to go do something, but you necessarily can't pull it off. What has changed
is the price. Oh
well, the prices have gone up, but the other thing that has changed though is the information that you can gather without having to go to wait for a sports show to come. Now you can look at all these different places. You can get reviews. There's tons of people you can reach out to that can tell you, oh, this one's worth doing this or doing that. But that's what we're going to try to answer some of that. I have my thoughts on where if I was trying to go on an affordable whitetail, first of all, I guess we have to, what is an affordable number?
I think that determines or depends on the person.
Okay, but I mean, because
for me, if like me right now, so for reference, a 25-year-old who is not got a lot of money, but I love hunting and I want to go places. Affordable to me would be, I want to try to keep something under like $3,000.
Okay.
Where I can comfortably, I can get tags, I can go hunt and living as far as a hotel or Airbnb, or, I mean, if I'm also the type that I would stay in the bed of my truck over paying for housing if I had to, if it was going to keep the price lower.
Right.
So that would be affordable to me. I think your middle-aged dude that's looking for a good hunt, they've also only going to do, or they're only going to do it once or twice, something like that. I would think, I don't know, I'd bump that up to $5,000 to $6,000, somewhere in there, that they're willing to save for however many years, and they'd rather go on a little more quality and fine-tuned hunt than just kind of sending it.
Right. Well,
and I think obviously your higher end ones, you're pushing $7,000 to $10,000 now.
On whitetails?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go on I would think you could go on a really good whitetail hunt for 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Like you're at the cream of the crop.
You should be getting a dang good hunt if you're paying that much.
Yeah. But so and the reason I asked that question is because just like when you go through the states, Ohio, Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, Illinois, those Midwest states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, even, I guess, the price of the out of state tags vary. Iowa's one of the most expensive from what I understand. I don't know the prices of all of them, but I do know that like Missouri is still over the counter. And a lot of people overlook Missouri. And the reason I think they overlook Missouri is because Missouri's gun season comes in during their rut.
Yeah.
And so if you're a whitetail hunter with a bow, you probably want to try to go before that. So anyhow, long story short though,
It doesn't help that they're freaking shooting all their deer for them too.
Yeah, they're killing a bunch from the CWD stuff. Yeah. So, but anyhow, Iowa, I can tell you, is 600 and something for that tag. And the reason that it's not, they try to fool you, I guess, a little bit in that it's not that expensive for the buck tag, but then they make you buy a doe tag.
Yeah,
and they added $100 onto that. So, like I said, you're looking at 600 and something. It's not just 600 even. It's more than 600.
It's like $656 something.
Right, for the tag. So
I thought that was your license in both your tags.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's to be able to hunt
your
here.
Hunting license.
Yep.
That's your buck tag or your any-sex tag and your antlerless tag.
Yes. However, just like now, and Kansas and a couple other states that I've hunted, they have some pretty dang good public land stuff that a guy can go do. And doing what you were just talking about, if you're willing to stay in your truck or you're willing to stay in a cheap hotel, in a small town close to there, whatever, you can probably be down around that $2,500 mark by the time you have fuel and food.
Just say it's also going to depend on how far away you're coming from. Like if you're all the way on the East Coast and you got to go 15, 20 hours or whatever, that's going to be obviously more. I would think within 10 to 15 hours would be more.
Yeah,
accurate.
I mean,
depending on whatever your gas would be and everything else included. But Kansas is not over the counter.
Not anymore. But
Yeah,
they used to have
be.
part of it was, and there for a while it was. But now they're a draw. So all of your Midwest states, just so you guys know, a little piece of information. It's not 100%. It's crazy, but you probably aren't drawing Iowa for archery without 5 points, which means you've got to put in for 5 years consecutively. You can buy a point every year without applying. You can spend $50 and they give you a point, but that's all you're doing. You're not missing anything by not putting in if you have 1 or 2 points, because you're not going to draw. I say that, and then I'll hear of an occasional, somehow someone drew with 1 or 2 points, and I don't know how that works, that they got through.
It's got to be on a year that there's not very many people putting in, because ours is preference points, not bonus.
That's the way I understood it, but it also depends on the unit. And I think
that is huge.
That could be and because when you hear me saying this, Zone 6 is the far east, southeast of Iowa. Zone 5 is right next to that, southern east, but not all the way to the border. And then south central is Zone 4.
That's all the way to the southwest corner.
Does it go all the way over? I didn't know if 3 was over there.
4.
4 goes all the way over.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 4, 5, and 6 that run the southern tier, and they go from left to right. So long story short is each one of those gets harder. 6 is even harder than 4 is. 6 is harder than 5, and so on. There's some other counties in Iowa that zones in Iowa that you could draw and possibly draw every year. Still got an opportunity at some big deer, but probably not the same quantity, not the same amount. Same strain of deer, that kind of thing. So the chance of killing a big one is there.
Agreed.
So but
I think our point here, though, is if you're determining where you're going to go deer hunt, we're in a spot of, you got to look at it from their somebody who's not living in Iowa. I would get like Iowa, Illinois, Kansas. Those are like your 3 tougher ones to get into that if you don't live there. Those are kind of your pinnacles, I would say. Well, the other ones you could go hunt. So, and this could be, I'm probably missing some, but mainly in your Midwest, like Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Missouri, and Indiana. Indiana, I did not think was over the counter, but
I think they are.
So according to, we're going to go off of this, but if it were me looking at this as a like let's say I'm in the eastern part of the country, and when I'm saying east, because I would not be overlooking some of the, like Virginia has got some big deer that people are not paying attention to now, like some of my buddies and stuff that are from around there, West Virginia too.
And the West Virginia part of it is that I think it's 4 counties. I might be off on how many, but they've got a bow zone, and they're killing some Boone and Crockett kind of deer there.
He sends me probably a video or a picture of a deer every year that if it's not the same one, like he'll have a different one that's 170 plus, if not bigger. Anyways, my point would be if I'm in one of those states where I am wanting to go somewhere to hunt whitetails, if I'm picking somewhere that's going to be kind of like my once in a lifetime thing, or I'm not going to do it very often, like I'm just probably going to do it just once, I would put my time and money into trying to find somewhere. I'd be putting in for Iowa. I'd be putting in for Kansas. I don't know as much about, I would imagine, because that's pretty relatively new as far as their draw.
I think that you're able to draw in 2 years. And most of the units that I looked at.
I would almost even start with something like that, just because Kansas has got some really big freaking deer, and if I could draw that quick, that'd be legit. Illinois is big freaking deer too.
Absolutely.
But anyways, the ones that are going to take longer, I would put in for those. If I was just wanting to go hunt somewhere, there are plenty of over-the-counter places. Just going off of those 5 right there, with Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio. Out of those 3 of the 5, I would go hunt right now, and you could get into some big deer. Ohio is probably not going to be over the counter for very much longer, I don't think, if they keep getting the attention that everybody is getting on the amount of deer they are getting, whether they are poached or not poached. They have been producing some extremely large deer, and that's exactly what happened with Kansas, is the amount of influx of out-of-state hunters. They went to a draw. Ohio is probably your next one on the list for that. Might be a great time to go. I could be wrong on that. I'm just going off of historically looking at other states. But you have very good quality to go hunt some of these other deer or other states for big deer without having to.
And the great thing about Ohio is if you do live on the east, where the majority of like a lot of hunters live on the east, I'm talking up and down the eastern seaboard, it's not that far.
Yeah.
You know, it's not it's not going to break the bank to get there. I don't know what their percentage of public land is there, but here's the thing that I did years ago, and I think you could still do it probably even better now because you can actually look into people and things like that. And what I'm saying is I swapped. When I lived in Montana, I reached out to guys and said, I want to go on a whitetail hunt back east in the Midwest is what I was looking. It was here in Iowa at the time. And I said, and I'll take someone either elk hunting or antelope hunting. You tell me which one you want to go do, because I lived in Montana at the time. It was a great swap. Now, I know the guy that lives where there's not very many deer is like, I don't have anything to offer on this swap. My point is, reach out, see if you could find someone. Maybe you don't have to hunt public land. Maybe you can go hunt a buddy's farm, you know, a friend or someone invites you. Number one, it's going to cut down on the cost. It might have a place for you to stay. They might say, hey, you can just camp right at the house, plug into this, shower in the house. You know, there's all kinds of little things. If you really want to go bad enough, you can figure out a way to do it and save yourself $1. And my point is, I think Easton's correct. Here's the other thing I would be doing is I might go do that for a practice run. Let's just say I could go to one of the over the counter states. I go there, but at the same time, I put in for Iowa this year and get a point. It cost me $50. If you can't afford the $50, then you probably aren't going to be going on any of these hunts anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I was someone that could tell you differently, but I don't know, just the cost of tags, I don't know that you can do a hunt for under $1,000 anywhere.
If you're not including anything else besides the tags, obviously you can, but...
but I mean, I'm talking just food, fuel, and lodging.
Yeah.
Start racking up there.
Yeah. So I would give somebody, if to narrow it down, see if you agree with this or not, 3 options for... I'm not going off of... I would say 3 options of a hunt in different budgets, basically. So the one budget would be your cheapest option is I would find one of these over-the-counter places that is either the one you feel the most confident with or have the most connections with, or you just want to go hunt there because you think there's good deer. The main one I would do if you're really trying to stay on a budget is the closest one to me that has good deer that is over-the-counter. And you can go and you can public hunt, and what I would be doing is... I mean, that's going to be your cheapest is I'm going to go there one time. During the season, I'm going over. I'm going to give myself a week and a half, 2 weeks if I can. If you only got a week, you only got a week. But and hunt as much public or try to get with as many people as you can to try to talk to somebody to get as much information as possible to try to set yourself up for success. And I'm going to be running as mobile as possible because you're going to have zero idea going into it. And then I would also be trying to stay in a tent or the cheapest Airbnb I could find, or if you go with a buddy, you can split stuff with a buddy very easily. And both of you guys are doing the same thing as far as splitting, and then you're both going off on your own spots. The second tier up I would be saying is if you're still not wanting to pay for the guided stuff, I would recommend going twice. So I would still try to pick somewhere that's relatively close that I could make this trip twice. And the reason I say that is I would go try to find somewhere where I have an over-the-counter tag, and I'm going to go there in the summer, or I'm going to go there in July, August, somewhere in there, and I'm going to scout as many places as I can, and I'm going to knock on as many doors as I can. And I'm going to, and you're a non-resident. I mean, this is the only year I've got to come here or whatever, and try to get as many places lined up as possible and get as much scouting as I can in a few days. And then I'm going to come back during the season when the weather lines up properly for me to come back. That's going to be more expensive because I got to do it twice. But I think that those few days would be huge for you to be able to go to something. The only way that doesn't work out is if you literally strike out on everything. You don't find any good public. You don't find any land, nothing. So then you're square one again. And then the third option I would say is pay the outfitter. And if you're going to pay the outfitter, in my opinion, start putting in for whatever state it is that you really want. Start saving your money and go to the place you want to go. Don't wait or don't go too fast because you just want to go. Go to the place you really want to go, whether that's Iowa, Illinois. You only want to wait a couple years, go Kansas, whatever it is. and find whatever's in your price range and wait for it and go do that.
And just be careful, like however you go about making that decision. If something sounds just too good to be true, it probably is. People will promise all kinds of things. If people won't give you references and stuff like that, if you're going through the outfitter portion, that's what I'm talking about there. Then I'm done. I'm not even considering that person. I want to see what's going on here. I want to know how they're hunting them, what they're doing. Is everything legal? Has there ever been any altercations, or this person ever been brought up on any kind of charges? And I mean, I know that sounds like harsh, but you have to do it.
The other one you want to really watch out for that they will get you for, not all of them do it this way, but I know some do it on purpose, is their trophy limits or whatever their trophy limits are. I'm not saying that because of what their prices are, but some places will, pretty much everywhere is going to have some kind of fee.
A main price, and then if you shoot something you're not supposed to.
Correct. And if they're a good outfitter, they're either going to have somebody with you that is going to be able to help identify different deer, or they're going to literally have a little class for you and probably be sending you specific photos with names and everything of different characteristics, so you have a reference with you to be able to say this deer is not a shooter.
Right.
Because if you haven't done that for a long time, it's very easy to mistake deer. The reason I'm saying that is be very, very careful, because there are some that I do know don't care if you shoot if you shoot something that's not what you're supposed to, and because they want the fee. They could care less.
Right.
So they're not going to set you up for success to be somebody from, say, the East that isn't used to seeing a deer with 10 or 12 points every single time, that's got a kicker here and a kicker there, that there's 3 of them that look identical. You're going to be looking at one of them, and one's going to be 4, and the other one's going to be 6, and they're going to freaking fine you for shooting the 4-year-old.
Right.
So be careful with some of those, and that would be one where I would be asking them pretty specifically, how well do you guys explain to us and teach us if they do have significant fees for things like that? Because last thing you're going to want to do is shoot that, and you have $2,500 in a fee, because really they set you up for failure, and that sucks.
And that's the same thing, like going on a bear hunt, understanding what you're going to be shooting at, how to reference them and things like that. So there's all kinds of, but you mentioned something though that I think we should go back, and that is, or expound upon what you said. And that was, you were saying, I want to go to a place twice. I would tell you, if you can find, first of all, do your homework and go whether you're looking for, like, I want to go shoot 2 or 3 deer, or I want to go kill 150-inch kind of deer, or I want to kill 120-inch kind of deer, find what you're looking for. There is no excuse anymore that you can't find that information on the internet or through people. You can, if you do your homework, you will find what you're looking for. Whether you find out you can't afford it or whether you find out you can't go there, I can't answer that. But what I can say is the information is there to be found. So once you have figured that out, then the more you go, the more familiar you get with it. It's just like us when we start hunting a new farm or a new piece of ground. We don't go out typically and kill a big deer right away. It takes a while to learn it. So if you can find a place where you can go back, there's all kinds of other things too. Guys that are leasing pieces of ground, maybe you can get in on something where guys are. I've known guys to do this where, like, 8 guys are leasing something, but only 2 guys are hunting or whatever. And so 2 guys go one year, 2 guys go the next year. It cuts down on the cost. Maybe every guy's only paying $500. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can still manage that into our 3,000. But when you go, it's just you and another guy, and the other 4 guys it's their off year. Yeah. And you trade out like that. I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do this if you just take the time to start thinking about it and
get creative.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was a firefighter, and before I was a firefighter, I worked construction. So I was the blue collar guy trying to do everything on a budget, and I was doing okay. I mean, but at the same time, I was not killing Boone and Crockett deer or even Pope and Young deer every year with my bow. I wasn't doing that. And so I think if that's your realism, if that's your realistic, what you're looking for, you might need to adjust what you're looking for depending on what you can afford. And that sucks to say in some regards, but it is the nature of what's going on nowadays.
Well, so if you are looking for that booner or whatever, I would also recommend set your standards lower, just because,
Absolutely.
especially if you're only going for 5-day hunt. I mean, there's a lot of you see a lot of good stuff, but there's a lot of outfitters out there that will give you a good opportunity at big deer or mature deer that are big deer. But going for 5 days, and it's different if you're going with a gun or something, but specifically with a bow, that's
Tough
hard.
to get close to 'em.
They can't control it either, especially if you end up picking the wrong, if you set your date or whatever and it ends up being crap weather or whatever. That caliber of deer is, even though these states are known for that caliber of deer, it's not like they're just walking around all the time. Otherwise, every resident would be shooting a booner every single year. So just set your expectations healthily.
For sure. So, and then the last little, I'm going to throw this out there, and there's going to be some people that get mad when I say this, mostly residents. And that what I'm going to tell you is I can only speak for Iowa, Kansas, Illinois, that I know. I know for a fact that those 3 states have some very good public land to hunt. For those of you that live back east or down south, I used to live in both. I lived in Arkansas and Virginia. When you hear public land, no way, because you're used to getting out of the truck with all the other trucks. You're used to getting there and there's already 10 other people. You're used to going and hanging a tree stand and there's this tree stand 40 yards away or 50 yards away. I'm telling you, if you do your homework and you work hard at it, you can find places where that's not happening in those 3 states. And you would have an opportunity to possibly kill a really good deer. I'm not trying to say this is the hidden gem, and if everyone goes and does it, you're going to kill. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, in recent years, too, it's also been, public has gone way downhill. But I do think it's gotten better. People have kind of fallen off the bandwagon of all going
I think it goes cyclical. Yeah. I think someone kills a big deer on public ground and a lot of guys, yep. And that was going on before the internet and all that, but the internet makes it worse.
Yep.
So things like that can change. I used to see it in Montana when someone would kill a big bull, then the next year that area was covered.
Yeah.
Everyone saw, oh my gosh, Chuck Adams killed this bull here. I mean, you couldn't draw the tag. And then it would last 2-3 years, and then it would go to Utah, and someone killed the spider bull, and now they're there. And people just naturally looking for, here's a piece of information, big bulls there. No different than deer.
Faux show.
So hopefully we gave you a couple ideas of things to think about. Like I said, finding buddies to go do it with, finding ways to cut corners, and then. I don't want to say you can't do some of the same things that we're doing on public land. I meaning decoying, scents, calls. Depends on where you go, but I would hunt them the same way. I would treat them the same way that we are treating them out here.
Conveniently, the only one of the 3 there that I would be comfortable using.
Scents.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the deer I was hunting this year, I didn't even carry antlers. Or, I mean, I wouldn't even let myself pull my grunt call out of the pack, simply because I knew so many other people were in there hunting and calling left and right and grunting here, grunting there, rattling, everything, that I knew they were educated. And so I wouldn't even touch them. I can't imagine what it would be like if I had a decoy, if they're using them. Granted, one of the days that I was in there, I mean, there was decoys laying by stands. So I would say the decoys were being used, and that's concerning. But they're not going to get educated with the scents, especially if they interact with them. That's the only one out of the 3 that I don't care if there's other people there, especially because if I'm using the scents, I'm going to be more confident in my location of where I'm going to set something than most of the others that may be there. So,
for sure. And I mean, that goes to giving you that intel. If you're the guy willing to make 2 trips, you make a trip over there, you set a trail camera and you put your scents out. You come back and check that SD card the next time, or you have a cellular camera, you're getting that information without even having to be there.
That is one of the best things about cell cams.
It is.
I keep them in places where I can't go. That's the best part is except for lately, like as I'm pulled them back to where we just don't want to go into something. But typically, places where I am not around, that's where I'll have a cell cam because I'm not there, but once a month kind of thing. All right.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that if you have another point, I think that wraps.
No, I think, I mean, like I said, and if you guys message us, we'll try to help you. But I mean, I can tell you right now, I don't have like a specific outfitter in every state that I can tell you go work with. I do have some in some that I would specifically tell you, hey, go try this guy. He's a good dude. He'll treat you right. And I am the one too. I would tell you, we went on a Kentucky hunt this year and we didn't kill a buck. Everything wasn't quite what we were hoping that it would be, but I would tell someone that wasn't a bad hunt.
That's over the counter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is Kentucky considered the Midwest?
Nah,
not regionally?
Kind of on the edge. Yeah.
If it's not, I would be telling you.
Yeah, there's some good deer there.
That is a place that I would definitely pay attention to.
For sure.
Even over some of these other ones. Yeah, I would be going there. I would, if you're going to go to somewhere like that, though, definitely want to get a hold of some people and see. I know they got hammered with EHD.
Yeah. It was happening while we were there.
Yeah, see if that's a thing of, like, in an area or if it was isolated or, I mean, I can only keep up with so many places. I don't know if the other places have gotten it too, but I know that we just happened to be there when they were getting it from the worst they've ever had it.
Yeah.
So.
But that does, I guess I did have one more thing that I forgot. And that is you can always use another hunt to kind of upgrade. And I tell people this all the time. Hopefully we're going to get to maybe talking a little bit if you want to go out west, starting with something like an antelope rather than starting on an elk hunt. There's a big dollar figure difference there. Maybe you can book a turkey hunter. Maybe you can go knock on a door and find a place to turkey hunt and go get the door open through something like that, where it wouldn't cost as much if you were paying someone as what it would for the whitetail. It would be something comparable of that nature. I don't know how much information as far as the whitetail world you'd get specifically walking around during turkey season, but you could certainly getting to know some people there and getting to talk to them and see what's going on, seeing what's there on their wall, that kind of stuff, give you a good idea where are you in the right, or did you bark up the right tree here?
That's a good way to get in with some people too. Like we have a very good friend that killed a really good bull this year. That he had turkey hunted. I think he said he had turkey hunted a place for a long time and then maybe even deer hunted it or something like that. But the family that lived there didn't let anybody else elk hunt because the family elk hunted it. They just didn't do really anything else. And they moved away or something. I don't remember what it was, but basically nobody was going to be elk hunting it. And they offered for him to come elk hunt it, and he got in a freaking sweet spot to elk hunt for just because he was connected with them.
And maybe it's only a one-time thing, but be ready for that. And that would be the same with if you don't have the points, you couldn't take someone up on something like that in some places.
Yeah.
If you had the points, now granted, some of the western states are tough, man. I mean, they can cost you $300, $400, $500 every year, because several states, Utah is one, you got to buy a license every year to put in for the tags. So it ends up being like $100. The tag is only $10, but the license is like $160, and you don't get any of that money back. Some other ones, you upfront money, but you get some of the money back.
So I think the next one is very simple, but as deep as you want to go with it, and that is 3 places you can go on. Not places. Three of the, like your most budget hunts that you could go. That's not a deer. We covered deer because we have a lot of people to ask about it, but this one is for a lot of the Midwest guys, Eastern guys that want to go somewhere not hunt a deer. That's everything that we've all hunted, whether that's antelope, bear, elk, mule deer, even maybe whitetail in another area, blacktail, Coues deer. I mean, there's tons and tons of other things that you could be hunting in the lower 48. But what are some of the top ones on a budget? I've got 2 in mind that I think you could do pretty cheap. I've got 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that I think would be cheaper, depending on one would be cheaper, and you can do it 100%. The other one you could do cheaper, may suck for a hunt, but you can do it.
I can't wait to hear that.
The one is the cheap one that you can do pretty well is an antelope.
For sure.
As far as that one also depends on the big difference between rifle and bow. 'Cause I feel like with bow, you really want to try to find somewhere you can get permission or something to give you like water holes to be able to sit at, especially if you've never Western hunted before. I wouldn't recommend trying to go hunt antelope with a bow, spot and stock, if you've literally never hunted anything spot and stock or Western animals at all. Because, and also, before we even get into that, everybody's going to tell you that you have to be able to shoot further. You're not going to have to shoot further. You're just going to have to hunt better. You're going to have to be able to get information on how to get closer efficiently and effectively in a timely manner, because you probably only have a week. And antelope, for instance, easiest way to do that, sitting on a water hole in a blind. Maybe
Patience.
boring, but it is something, it's different.
And you can set the blinds where they can see them and everything else.
It's better if they can see them.
Wind is a factor, though. That is something that you would have to take into account.
So cheap, though? I mean, can you do that under what do you think the cheapest is? Nick's dying over there. Holy cow. You all right? What's the cheapest you think you go on an antelope hunt? And is that the cheapest one you'd say? Big game. I'm referring to.
I'm trying to think. If we're not considering turkeys big game, then yeah, probably antelope. There's, I've done 2 hunts or 1 hunt there. Kind of these exotic things that are now wild.
I was just gonna say,
Oryx
is not.
Oryx wasn't super expensive. And what I'm talking about is off the missile range. Or honestly, I don't even know if you drew on the missile range. I don't know if you have to go through I don't even know if they offer an outfitter.
If you're on the missile range, I'm pretty sure it's once in a lifetime.
It is once in a lifetime. However, I don't know if you have to go through See, New Mexico has a deal where if you put in for it, you get a better chance of drawing if you go through an outfitter, about a 40% better chance. And that's how I drew the Oryx tag that year. I went through the outfitter and put in. But cost-wise, because I only put in once and I drew and everything, I felt like it was, I think, $2,500, which...
Yeah, that's a ton of meat you get. Too.
Oh, it's like the size of an elk. I mean, not quite. I mean, it's mounted right here on the wall, but I'm going to say 600 and some pounds, I mean, it's not a mule deer. It's way bigger than a mule deer, but it's not quite an elk. But a great big animal, fun hunt. You're going to get to see some stuff like you've never seen before. Same with an antelope. I do think the other one, and maybe this is just an expansion of that, but you said not a deer. I was going to say you could come out to the west and hunt whitetails cheaper than what you think, and have that opportunity. The other one that you can do fairly inexpensively, but I would tell you that your success rate is super low, is a black bear hunt.
Mine was going to be a black bear. You could do it very cheap, but it's either going to suck, and the chances of killing one is going to be tough depending on how you do it. Idaho, you can bait. And their success rate was pretty dang good with guys that were coming for bait. When I went, we saw bears, but it was treacherous terrain. I mean, I 100% would go back and do it again, but it's not like your typical. I think like an antelope, you're gonna have a heck of a lot more opportunity.
The great thing about antelope is you're gonna see your quarry. Whether you're able to get a shot or not, you're gonna see them. I would tell people that going back to when I lived in Montana, and I spring bear hunted every year, and I killed 2, 3, and that's over 20 or 18 years.
Holy crap! Really?
Oh yeah, and
you never really focused on it that much.
I didn't, but
it also falls in the fall. Like when you were you going spring?
I was going spring. That's the only time I hunted them was the spring. But my point is, I can't tell you. I'm going to say for every 5 full days that I walked, and Waylon and I would talk about, I went and took my bow for a walk.
Yeah.
Because that's all we were really doing. I mean, for the number of bears we saw, I think it was like 1 bear for every 5 days of hunting. But that was where we were hunting too. I mean, it was no different than, like, we lived on the east side in Great Falls, Montana. We were hunting the front. You could go up there and you might see a guy might tree a mountain lion once every couple weeks, but you go across the mountains on the other side and they were treeing one every time they went out. So different areas had different numbers of bears, but if you're talking about doable and learning an area, it would have been fantastic because there's not very many people doing that. I mean, there's
it-
not a lot
it's
of
just not a
pressure.
very common one for people to want to even go do.
Right.
But it is that is one I would warn though. It is a very difficult one because it's the same thing that I deal with my coyotes, that I'm so bad at coyote hunting, and I feel like a lot of it's I can't see what I'm doing wrong. If I can't see what I did or see an animal interact with something, I can't learn from what I did or adjust on it. There's just not a ton of bears, and you getting close to one, especially if you're trying to call them or spot and stalk them versus them just coming to something. The chances of you're probably not going to, you go for a week, and if you're getting, I don't know, if you got 3 or 4 encounters while walking around trying to call one in or spot and stalk one, and I'm saying an encounter maybe being within 100 yards of one, you had a heck of a week. That's going to be hard to get in experience if you've never done anything Western.
Well,
so you can do it cheap, but it's going to be one of the hardest ones you could do.
Make sure if you start blowing that call that you know where you're at.
Yeah, you know what other animals
because
are there.
the wrong bear may show up. So the places we were hunting, you weren't blowing a call.
Yeah, you were. Yes, you were. Don't lie.
Well, sometimes, but
with 2 children next to you.
You had to be used.
You were okay with using us as bait. And in the same exact location, he would tell you that he saw more grizzly bears on a daily basis than he did.
But we knew that was a black bear. I saw that black bear.
Yeah, there's also wolves and, again, more grizzly bears.
But we had to just call that one in and get done, get out of there.
Yeah, we did do that. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
And he ended up coming like 5 yards.
He did. Came right to the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a hand call.
That what
for
mouth
anybody,
call.
just so everybody knows, everybody that has any respect for hand calls or e-calls, David hand called that one in.
Yeah. Now, see, I will tell you that I did not do a lot of calling when I was hunting back over by the house, or I would call by the house. I was east of the house. And maybe I should have been. I hadn't learned about all the different things that bears would respond to until we had already moved. And then
No, I think that's probably good. There's probably a reason you're here today.
Maybe.
Yeah, you would have, and yeah, not good. You got chased by a grizzly bear in that same spot.
Yeah, but I didn't call to it to get chased.
Yeah, that's my point.
I just drove around the corner.
You should call to the black bears.
Well, because that's how we were going to get close. We did.
Let me call in distress and just tell to the black bears, not the grizzlies.
Well, that's what I was doing. So anyhow, but let's talk the antelope. Here's the little trick I would tell someone on that one. Pay the trespass fee. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of ranchers out there that are not working with an outfitter. And if you knock on doors and you're willing to shoot some antelope does, typically, that depends on where you're at. And like right now, some of the numbers are down in some of the units because they had some really tough winters. But when the antelope numbers are good, ranchers is what they are out there. They're not farmers. Don't call him a farmer. He won't let you hunt.
That is also disrespectful to them.
But the ranchers will let you on sometimes if you're willing to shoot some does, and they might charge $250 or $300 or $500 or something like that to be able to have a ranch to hunt and not have to hunt public land. It's not so much the public land portion of it that it's what you said, the water, where are they coming to alfalfa, that kind of thing, that rancher has. That information is what you're buying.
Yep.
And so, yes, it costs a little more money, but I can tell you that it's going to possibly
change it
10 times. It's a huge magnification of what it is on your success rate.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to knock on doors.
If it's something a skyrocketed price, don't pay for it, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to find a pretty decent price for going to hunt. I mean, they may charge you $1,000, but still, if you're what is the tag like?
$350 for the antelope for everything for in Wyoming. I know you got to buy a license, the archery tag. Your
pretty inexpensive.
Your habitat stamp and something else, and then the tag itself, and it all comes out to like $350.
Yeah. So that plus, I mean, if there's $1,000, you're getting there, but you're still, cheap for a budget hunt.
Yep.
I mean, in a big game hunt to go west and do something. I mean, that's about as good as you're going to get.
Oh, and just having lived there, I can tell you the first time you drive west. And I don't even know where I would consider, maybe South Dakota. When you get to the Black Hills, it's it's like it's worth the money. Whatever you've spent is all of a sudden like, this exists. This is in the United States. I get to go here. I get to drive down this, and you're on that freaking interstate, and it's cool as hell.
Yeah, but then once you get out of the Black Hills, then it's like, oh man,
Well,
back to the flats.
It's desolate, you know. But but at the same time, there's something cool about the prairie.
I love it. I
Yeah,
know
I
everybody
mean,
gives people
the
crap.
sage
I
and-
love the prairies.
I mean, the first time you see a daggone jackrabbit and he's got ears that are like 12 inches tall, you know, running down the road, and just there's something about every place that I've ever lived. It was always different. And every place that I ever lived and then went somewhere, it was like, wow, you get stuck in your own little bubble and you think this is what's going on and then all of a sudden you're somewhere else and it's way different. Maybe it's way colder. Maybe it's way wetter or snowier or flat or people that they tried to describe to me what it was going to be like chasing that oryx. And it was absolutely nothing like what anyone described when I got there.
Yeah.
At first I was like, you got to be kidding me. I've totally screwed up. I'm not filling this tag. And then I was like, I saw the terrain. I saw there was a little bit of stuff. I'm like, I got a chance here. And then I saw the fence that takes you from the missile range to the non-missile range, which mine was outside the missile range. We got a really good chance here because that fence couldn't hold my freaking dog. I mean, it was just I was expecting to see like an 8-foot, 10-foot Constantine wire around a missile deal. It's 4 strands of barbed wire that's all ripped and broken and the things are falling over, and don't go on that side, but this side you're plenty good to hunt.
Yeah. So if we're speaking on budget and oryx, that's an odd one. You are gonna have to put in for that. Mm-hmm. And what do you know what the chances are if you don't go through an outfitter?
I want to say like less than 10%.
Is that like you get better and better every year?
I don't think so. See, okay. New Mexico doesn't have any preference points, so you start over at 0. I mean, you have the same chance as everyone else every year.
So for reference, though, Dad, if it increases it by 40% or whatever, and he went through an outfitter, he did draw in the first year.
I did.
So that's one option, and even going through the outfitter around $2,500. Would that be everything included or no?
That was that was all your food and everything. Just getting there, like we drove, so driving there, and then we stayed in a hotel, and it was only a 3-day hunt. I would tell you. So there was another gentleman there that he had drawn. He's like in his 70s, and he had drawn 3 times in like 6 or 7 years. So so the chance of drawing it was very, very good.
Outfitter?
He had gone through the same outfitter, and he had come back. But what he loved was it wasn't a super difficult hunt.
Just hot.
Well, depends on when you go.
He's probably going with the rifle.
Yeah, he was going with the rifle, and so typically, you can kind of pick. I mean, you can see.
Is there an open season for it?
I do think that
because that's a huge benefit for some guys.
Absolutely, I can tell you that the season is so long, but you have to talk to the outfitters because they might not take. Like they won't. I don't think they do any oryx hunting in September because they're elk hunting.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But if there's an off time of year that you have that you could go.
Well, we were there when we met that gentleman that had just killed his oryx. We were there. Mom was lion hunting. That's how I met those guys.
Yeah, and
so that was February.
Yeah.
That is like the Aoudad hunt I went on last year and that oryx hunt. I'm looking at maybe going back to Texas on a black buck hunt. And that's because there are things I can do that don't coincide with other seasons, and I can pick and choose when exactly I want to go. Like I would tell you, the Aoudad, we went at the right time. We went in January, and so it was colder. I mean, for Texas, it wasn't by any means cold, but you needed a coat. You don't want to go during a wet season because it can have floods and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things to look at. And I dang sure would. Now, I went on the oryx in early September because I had drawn a New Mexico elk tag. Snakes and mosquitoes were an issue. Mm-hmm. And when I say they were an issue, it was not 1 or 2. It was lots.
Yep. So oryx is a very good option if you're wanting to do something a little more interesting. It is very good meat.
It's unbelievable meat.
It's a ton of meat for what you're going to do. More normal Western one that would be, I think you should still be able to do it. Probably everything for under $2,000 to $2,500 would be an antelope. And a pretty dang good success rate if you can get in the right situations, bow or rifle. we would recommend trying to find something where you can get away from other people. I think that is going to be a hard one as far as pay the trespass fee. That's one I don't think a lot of people are willing to do, which surprisingly isn't that bad. And then a third one could be a black bear hunt. That if you do that one, we did not tell you to do that one because you're like, yeah, you're going to go kill the biggest bear ever. But it potentially could be one of the coolest hunts you'll ever go on, just depending on where you're going to go or where you could end up, the terrain you could be in. You could come out with some of the craziest stories you're never going to get in the prairies.
Yep.
But it's a lot of fun. That one just weirdly, if you want a challenge and you want something that you also just get a lot of experience, and you talk about a drive, no matter where you go, you're going to be in some gorgeous, gorgeous area.
For sure.
And you get to hunt it. So that's another one. Do you have even a fourth one or an honorable mention? That I think there's some others that we're not thinking, like an axis deer, but that one's super cheap. Super expensive to get.
Well, someone just told me though that because they got so much publicity that the price has gone up. That some other guys went over and hunted and put a lot of stuff out about them. So we went to Hawaii several years ago on an axis deer hunt, and it was cheap. It was $1,600 for two.
Yeah, but I'm talking you could go do it without an outfitter unless they changed it, and that is cheap. I mean, and it's a year-long tag.
Yep.
364
they have mouflon sheep as well, and they have goats. And there's different, I mean, you're not going to put anything in the record books, but who cares? And another fantastic eating. An axis deer is unbelievable. Now, if you go look at the axis deer that are in Hawaii, go look at axis deer that are down in Texas, and I'm talking free range stuff, not on in a pin. The axis deer in Texas are still way bigger.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the island over there or what it is that they're not. I mean, plenty big for me, and they're just a beautiful animal, spotted. For everyone who doesn't know an axis deer, they look like a whitetail fawn, but they can't keep their spots forever.
And gnarly antlers.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool antlers.
Kind of like a young elk.
Yeah.
Type of, because there is an honorable mention. Yeah, there is, and I don't know about price, and that's a Sika deer, because I'm dying to go.
Why is that an honorable mention? I don't think that's cheap.
I don't think they're that expensive.
Where?
And they're only in Maryland. It's the only place you can go.
They don't have in Washington?
No. That's a Sitka deer. These are Sika.
What's the difference?
They're a different animal.
How do you spell it?
So, because one is a Sitka blacktail that you're talking about, and the other one's a Sika deer, which looks like a little, I want to say they're from Vietnam, I believe. Little black-looking deer. They look like a little elk. Little tiny rack, but they bugle like an elk.
How do you say?
Sika.
You're not a Sitka blacktail and a Sika blacktail?
No, it's not a blacktail. It's a Sika deer, period. And they're only in the eastern shore of Maryland. Is that where it is? Japan?
Sika deer. Oh, it looks like an elk.
Yeah, a little elk.
A mini elk. Oh, okay.
They're so freaking cool.
And they're only in Maryland, eh?
Only in Maryland.
You're telling me they aren't crossing any borders over there in those little states?
They have never left. They're not even across the state. They're only in a small area.
And how hard is that tag?
Not hard. I think that's an over-the-counter thing. But you're pretty much, I think, going to have to go through an outfitter.
Interesting. A blacktail is on my list. I would like to go do a blacktail.
Okay, so this is primarily found in the marshy wetland areas of Maryland's eastern shore, especially Dorchester. They even named the counties, Wicomico, Somerset counties, and on an island in Virginia, Maryland, with established populations also in Texas and smaller ones in Virginia, in the Chinkatink Island in Kentucky. So there are...
Kentucky?
That's what it says. But
island? What island?
Chinkatink is an island.
How is there an island?
Well, I don't know anymore if it's, and maybe our listeners can tell us whether they're still there, but they used to have the only free-ranging horses, meaning they would round them up every year, and you would see that. And that, I don't know if they took them to auction or what they did with them every year, but they have free-ranging horses there.
Nevada has free-ranging horses.
Well, but this was like maybe the only ones east of the Mississippi or something like that.
Interesting. So, okay, well, Sika deer.
Yeah.
That's a new one. I wouldn't have thought of that. Also, did not connect the dots that a Sitka and a Sika were different.
Oh, yeah.
I thought just somebody didn't know how to spell. I forgot
Let's
the
see
T.
if there's more images, because a big Sika deer is a little tiny. Right there's a big one. That would be a big one.
Oh. So whatever these ones I'm seeing with huge antlers are like.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's not a Sika deer from the Maryland kind. This is them.
What's their body size? Because I can't tell.
Think I want to say like 65, 70 pounds.
Oh, so they're just yoked.
Yeah,
They got freaking neck and a half on them.
The real ones over in Asia will get bigger because they're in more mountainous instead of a marshy territory.
but there's a big one. That would be a giant.
Okay, fair enough. How hard is it to do this coos deer or cows deer, what everybody calls them something different? I'm pretty sure it's actually coos deer, but
I don't know that it's I did it.
not
But
difficult. I'm talking price. That's probably not the cheapest one, is it?
it wasn't that expensive because again, it's kind of, you can go January, February, a different time of the year. I went to Arizona where I killed that one. They can get expensive if the outfitter that you're going through, if you go through an outfitter, has good ones. Like the possibility of, because it 60, I think it's 65 inches is Pope and Young.
Yeah.
They look like a whitetail, but they're way smaller. They're actually, I describe them as blue. They're almost, their body color is not like a whitetail's more brown or more gray. They have like a blue tint to them. They're beautiful. And
the one I just thought of that you would definitely need some help if you have no idea what you're doing, but you could probably get paid to do it, and it is big game. Can't necessarily get paid to do it, but you can get your expenses covered to do it. Is a wolf. Yep.
I don't know that that's considered big game. That's considered a predator or
The truck you talking about? That's a big game animal.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Is a wolf big game? Yes, it is. It's not a coyote. A coyote isn't, obviously.
Well, what are the big game species listed? There's 28 of them, and they're in the United States.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a wolf is a freaking big game animal. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, 100%. That would be a legit one to go do if you have a connection, because Idaho, you turn in your receipts and they will freaking pay you back your expenses, and the tags are cheap. You can get, and I'm pretty sure you can get as many as you want.
We have no information to give you on wolves because none of us have ever killed one. However, we lived in a state where we were getting inundated, but you couldn't kill them when we lived there. And then right when we moved, they made it where you could kill them.
Yeah, if anybody has any line on that one, please let me know. That would be at the top of Easton's list. And I don't want to go to Canada for it. I'd like to do it somewhere here.
Picky.
No, I don't want to go sit on bait. I know a lot of guys in Idaho and stuff are calling them in. Not very consistently, but they do it.
Yeah, I only know of one guy that is consistently killing wolves. And he does it every year. But
David?
No, that dude from Montana.
Oh.
I can't even remember I can't think of his name right now. I want to say Sterling, and it's not. It's anyhow. But he's killing wolves every year. He was killing wolves before. As soon as it became legal to kill them in Montana, he was like the first guy at the check station. I got one, and then I got one the next year, and then I got one, and then he would go and take his kid and his wife, and they were all getting one. So he was doing something right. Still is. As far as I know, he's still killing wolves.
You know where we could find this man?
He lives in the Flathead Valley there.
We might need to find him. I'd like to go. Yeah. I don't know how hard it is to get your tags in Montana for it.
I don't think it's very hard anymore.
All right.
Nick passed on his cough thing to me.
I think we've got a pretty good, we've covered whitetails pretty good. If you guys have more questions on one of the specific ones or a recommendation, what you'd like us to dig into a little bit, the reason we were willing to do that is because we have David here who has lived across the United States as well as hunted. You've got to be, how many states do you think you've hunted?
I don't know. I can't.
A lot.
30 probably, 30 plus.
I was going to say over 25 at least. So he's got some information. He's been a guide. He's done the guiding. He's gone and got guided. And we've all hunted a lot of stuff. So let us know if you guys have anything else you'd like us to cover. But I think that's a good one.
Yeah. And
Deer,
like I
and
said,
then your top three. I mean, and I do say budget. That budget was for me. Like me and Joey wanted to know this a while back, but this is like if you're wanting, I gave Dad the parameters before we started of somewhere under $3,000. So most of those you could do either around or under the $3,000 mark.
So, I mean, the other way to approach this is marry a sugar mama. That'd be number one. And if you're a woman out there listening, marry a sugar daddy, and that pays for those hunts. Number two, bust your ass at work, make some money so you can go do a few things like this, like you want to go do. Number three, make it a priority. That's what you're going to go do. You know, I mean, you're going to give up something else to go do it, meaning maybe you're not going to a football game or a basketball game, and I'm talking pro stuff where you would have to pay a couple $100 and go stay in a hotel. It might cost $1,000 for that trip. Nick's looking at me like, that's way cheap. Yeah, some tickets are even more expensive. So what I'm saying
I'm
is,
surprised he's shaking his head at that because a Huskers game is they probably pay you to come watch them.
not Huskers volleyball.
Oh no, not anymore.
And
It costs you $5,000 now to get season tickets renewed because they're adding two.
Okay, that's Nebraska.
Okay.
Nobody cares about Nebraska. Anyways,
the only reason he likes the volleyball is because they make those girls wear those tight little shorts. And I still don't understand that.
talk about being an old man.
All right. So anyhow, so there's some other ways that, because I'm not at the same place Easton is in my life anymore, and I don't want to be there, as far as I've worked my butt off so I can go do some of these other things. But at the same time, it isn't like I was always able to do that. And there's still things that are out of my reach and stuff like that. And so we get it, man. We know what you're looking at. But I do know this: when I really wanted to go whitetail hunting, or I really wanted to go on a turkey hunt, or I really wanted to go on an elk hunt, I found a way. And I found a way by being creative, by working with other people or whatever, and seeing what I could come up with. And as long as it's legal and ethical, it's worth doing. You know.
Hopefully you guys have stayed this long and you haven't tuned out yet, because I just realized one of the ones we totally missed, and that is an elk hunt in Idaho.
This year.
Yeah. I mean, you need to do it now. I mean, this is similar to, except we know it's happening, or they've already released it, but similar to what my prediction is of like an Ohio is probably going to go to a draw at some point or another, unless they just really don't care. But Idaho is changing. This is the last year you can get an over-the-counter tag. It's janky how they explained it. I still don't completely understand it, but it's not going to be nearly like what it is right now, where you can go buy a tag. Even this year, they moved it up. You can't go buy a tag over the counter.
Yeah, because
you have to go through an outfitter who has bought the tag.
Yeah, because used to you could go and you camped out at the Fish and Game or whatever they call their deal, and if you were there physically, you got tags before online people did.
Yep. And so this year they were going to be making it next year where you couldn't just get it over the counter. It's still technically not over the counter this year, because you do have to. I think you have to go through an outfitter now.
Do you?
Because they're the only ones that would have had a tag. Now that doesn't mean, though, with some of these outfitters, that with them knowing that as well, I don't think all of them are like, hey, if you're going to buy a tag through an outfitter, that you have to pay for their full outfitted experience. For instance, the bear hunt that I went on a couple years ago with Wind River Outfitters, which is John Boyer. We're going back. Me, Warren, and Dad are going to go back with them, and he's basically just dropping us at a spot where they already have a camp, or it had already been set up for other elk hunters, but he's taking us in on horses, and then we're hunting for 5
He's not going
days
to
or
necessarily guide us.
and we're living off of creek water and the like mountain house meals type stuff. So you could do that, where I think some of these outfitters are ending up with more tags than what they could sell technically. So if you can get with an outfitter, they'll sell you the tag, and they may have, you're probably going to have to hunt in their area or unit, but you're basically paying them for the tag and trespassing on their lease, technically, their trespass fee, and you can go on an elk hunt that is not technically over the counter, but is.
And the other thing, if you are looking at that Idaho elk hunt, get your ass on a treadmill today, because I promise you, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Idaho is maybe one of the most difficult mountainous terrains that I've ever experienced.
It was, I thought that growing up around in Montana and like in snowboarding and stuff in Big Mountain is like there's cliffs and stuff. I mean, it's steep stuff. I mean, there was times where when I'm standing straight up facing up the mountain, that my knee was only 4 or 5 inches away from touching the mountain
Right.
because it's so freaking straight up and down. Stuff that you don't want to trip on. I mean, because
Yeah.
you're not gonna stop very quickly.
But you want to make sure that's something too when you start looking at, and I believe that if we were going to do something specific, someone's going to write in and say, hey, can you guys go over more about Western hunts or elk hunts specifically? That is a huge factor, is not so much what can you afford, what can you physically do? Because you can go on any hunt. Whether you're going to enjoy it or not is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen both. I've been on the guiding side and seen someone who couldn't do it. I've been on hunts where I walked out and went, what did I just get myself into?
Yep.
You know, but at the same time, that's kind of what has forced me down the road that I've gone to try to take as good a shape as or good care of me and try to stay in shape, because I don't ever want to do that again. I don't ever want to get somewhere and go, I don't think I can do this. I mean, I can go do it, but it isn't going to be fun. It's not going to be enjoyable, and it's probably not going to be successful.
Yeah. I would
So-
agree. Christo's yelling at us now.
Christo knows when it's done. All right. So we done?
Yep.
We're out of here. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in. For all of you that took our advice and went to the website before Christmas, thank you. Our sales were off the chart as far as raised hunting apparel. I've been caught by our loader out there, or order filler, and she said, you guys sold all these shirts and this stuff. And I'm like, cool. We're glad to see it. We appreciate you guys. Again, don't underestimate. I'm not kidding about the free sweatshirt. If you find me someone that I'm going to put on this podcast, because we're going to get to the bottom of what, just even one. I just want one to start so that I can see what they're thinking, and we'll go from there. But so if you see
Please
that person,
do that. I want to watch.
yeah, I can't wait.
I think you guys will too.
So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Raised Hunting Podcast. I'm David Holder in Easton. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.